You are listening to the Tricorder Transmissions, ep078. And now, here are Craig and Jeff.
Welcome back to the Tricorder Transmissions. This week is episode number 78, All Our Yesterdays. We are your hosts, Jeff Hewlett.
And Craig Cohen.
Craig Cohen, this is incredible. This is the second to last episode of Season 3 and of the series in general.
I know, it's the penultimate episode. It's amazing.
Yeah, pretty incredible how far we've come. And, you know, we're going to have a pretty big party in a few weeks here after we get done with these last couple of episodes. But before we do that, a couple of news items to throw your way and the listeners' way. Looks like we've got yet another red shirt who's going to be appearing at the Trek convention in Vegas this year.
Oh, awesome.
And that would be Miss Julie Cobb, who played Yeoman Leslie Thompson. You might remember her from the episode By Any Other Name, where she was turned into a porous cube and crushed into dust.
Oh, right. Yes.
Remember that one? Yeah. Poor red shirt didn't have much of a chance, but she's going to be at the convention, so that's pretty cool that we're going to get even more. I mean, this is great. So we're going to get hopefully 3 original series guests that we haven't met prior.
Yeah, and I wonder how many porous cubes she's going to be signing.
Yeah, I wonder if we could find some kind of a sponge that's shaped like she was and bring it over there.
You know somebody's getting that signed.
Oh, no doubt. I bet you can probably go to the craft store and buy one of those foam bricks that looks just like one and just kind of carve the edges off to make it look like the one that was her.
Oh, that's funny.
That's a cool idea. We might have to do that. So one other quick thing to note, and looks like William Shatner is at it again. This guy is just completely unstoppable.
Yeah.
He is riding a motorcycle 6 days from Chicago to Los Angeles across the good old Route 66 for charity.
Oh, wow.
So I wonder how much of that he's actually going to ride. But I mean, that's an awful long way for a guy his age to ride a motorcycle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what do you do maybe 8 hours a day? I mean,
that's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he's got cars that are going to be riding along with him. Before. Yeah. He's going to be filmed. There'll probably be some sort of film, but good on him. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, but I mean, in all fairness, William Shatner is not your average 84-year-old.
No, not at all. It never ceases to amaze me how much he can work through. Remember at the convention, he was not in great shape.
Yeah, he had fallen off a horse a couple days prior, and he did 2 conventions that weekend.
I know. Guy's a workhorse. God bless him.
Yeah.
But good luck, Bill. We'll be looking for some updates on that next month.
What's the charity?
It's a good question. Doesn't even say. All right. So, are you ready to get started with our commentary on All Our Yesterdays, Mr. Cohen?
Oh yeah.
All right. So, first air date March 14th of 1969, remaster April 21st, 2007.
Very cool. And I have the press release issued on February 25th, 1969. February 25th, my grandmother's birthday. Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, and Dr. McCoy are trapped in the past by a machine just hours before a planet on which the machine is located is to explode in All Our Yesterdays on NBC Television Network's Star Trek, Friday, March 14th.
Very cool. We will get started with our scene-specific commentary in 3, 2, 1. Craig.
Yeah.
Couple of interesting facts about this episode.
Okay.
Not only are we very close to the end of the series, but if we go by star dates, and we actually use them as references to time. I mean, I know there's some question about what star dates really mean, but this episode, if you go by star date, is actually the last voyage of the Starship Enterprise, because it's the star date of this episode is later than the star date of Turnabout Intruder, which is the last broadcast episode.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, pretty
Very interesting. Now, I have a huge problem with this episode right off the bat.
Why is that?
So this star is going to go nova and destroy this planet.
Mm-hmm.
So Starfleet's coming to save the day.
Mm-hmm.
Did they not communicate with anybody on this planet?
Well, maybe that's what they sent Kirk and crew there to do, communicate.
3.5 hours before the thing's about to go
well,
nova?
They were busy.
It just seems to me like if they're going to come in and white knight this planet, you would have coordinated it.
You would think.
I mean, obviously, whatever they've done here took them years to plan.
Oh, for sure. For sure. They've been doing this for a long, long time.
That's just one of those plot points where I guess you have to leap on board with it, or else, like a house of cards, the whole episode falls in on itself.
Yeah, I guess we've had these nitpicks with other episodes.
Yeah,
before,
but for me, that's kind of a huge detail.
It's pretty big. That's pretty big. I can see that.
It's huge, man.
I gotta downplay it a little bit. But aside from Sulu, Uhura, and Chekhov, as well as Scotty not physically appearing in this episode, there is one other major character that does not appear in this episode as well. Do you know who it is?
Let's see. Well, no, we saw the Enterprise.
The interior of the Enterprise.
Oh, okay, the bridge.
So this is the only episode of the original series where nothing takes place on the ship.
Wow. Really? So they didn't even Too bad they didn't shoot any cutaways with Scotty.
Yep.
Wow.
Nothing. So you hear him on the communicator, Scotty. Yeah. But absolutely nothing takes place on the actual ship, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I knew I liked this episode.
So it's funny, this actor here playing Mr. Ataz, Ian Wolfe, we've actually seen before.
Really?
He was in Bread and Circuses.
Oh, he wasn't in Ian Wolfe in the Fold?
No.
Oh.
And I like that stinger where they kind of have him not answer as a way to create suspense.
Yeah. And I love the that line, the "You're late, where have you been?" It was kind of reminiscent of Alice in Wonderland.
Okay, yeah,
as Mr. Ataz mistakes Kirk, Spock, and McCoy as planet inhabitants who are late to the party, as it were. They waited till the absolute last possible minute.
Yeah.
To utilize the time travel system.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've seen time travel.
Yeah,
in the original series too.
Uh-huh.
So
now I don't want to get into this too deep, but how does the Prime Directive factor in here? I mean, is this planet part of the Federation?
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is. So what business does Starfleet or the Federation really have in, saving the day?
It's the White Knight Clause. Starfleet will save planets when they're in danger. So,
and what were they going to do? Were they going to beam everybody up to the Enterprise?
The entire population of the planet, I wonder.
Because they only have 3.5 hours, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's room enough for everybody on the planet on the Enterprise. That is
3.5 hours. It seems like you'd come out a couple weeks, a couple months.
Yeah, I mean, bring like a cryo-free ship or something, throw some people on it, and
and again, you'd make some kind of, you confirm with the planet. You'd be like, hey, your transfer. We're coming in to transfer you guys. Make sure everybody's lined up alphabetically. Keep families together.
You know what, though? Maybe we're looking at this the wrong way, though. Maybe Starfleet had no idea that sun was going to go nova. Maybe like the neighbors called and said, "Hey, listen, guys. There's a star here. It's about to go nova, and there's a planet next to it. These guys have been partying it up, and we haven't been the best of neighbors, but you might want to go by and see if they're going to be okay." And so I was like, yeah, sure. Kirk's in the neighborhood.
Yeah, we
We'll
won't be
send him
able to
over.
really help them that much.
Well, I mean, you could probably take, the top 1% of the population. A little eugenics going on there.
Oh,
We've
goodness.
dealt with eugenics in the show before. So, the one thing I really found fascinating about Ataz, not only the fact that he's replicated himself, but he infers that his family has gone through the portal here, and he has stayed behind to assist the entire planet
Mhm,
into traveling into the past.
mhm.
So, I love the fact that Star Trek predicts the compact disc and the DVD here.
Yeah, right? Look at
I mean,
that.
little video discs,
Mhm.
really cool effect for back then.
Yeah, yeah. So do you think Ataz got a late start, starting a family, or
Well, who knows how long he's been sitting here? He might have been sitting here for 10 years now. It would take an awful long time to process an entire planet's population through one portal.
but again, at what point do they know that that star is about to go nova?
Well, I mean, I think our scientists on this planet have predicted our sun will explode in what, 10 billion years or 10 million years or something like that. I
Yeah.
think we'll be long rotted away by then.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, it's feasible that if they have the technology to create this time travel machine, I love the smile on Kirk's face here, that they would have the technology to predict when their sun is going to go nova.
Mhm. But again, is I don't want to get into this, thing of constantly questioning this episode. But if you have that much advance notice, why not just set sail and find another place to live?
Mm, I don't know. I mean, you've got, if you think about it, you've got this vast library here of destinations in time to travel to. So, would you rather get on a spaceship and fly to some unknown world and start over from scratch? Or would you rather pick your favorite time in Earth's history and just go back and live out the rest of your life there?
Well, what if I could just go back 40 years?
You could do that. Why wouldn't you? That's a good idea. Well, you know what? Then you might live long enough to get back to the same place again.
Well, yeah, but
You have
then
to go
I'll be
back
an old
further.
man, and you know what? Maybe I take the ride and see what it's like for a sun to go nova.
Yeah, that might work.
Yeah, here's some more white knighting from Kirk.
Yep, Kirk hears some screaming. So this is what I found very interesting about this is that I guess you put a disc in the little holder there, and whatever time period you're looking at appears on the other side of that portal, and you can actually hear what's going
Yeah,
on the other side of the portal. And this is even weirder, is that I thought that Kirk was using the official viewer, right? I
yeah,
mean, that sends him into this kind of weird witch trials time. And even though McCoy was looking at the Ice Age on a different little viewer, I thought Kirk was using the main viewer. So why would it go one place for Kirk and someplace else for Spock and McCoy? It seemed a little bit strange. Is it maybe it works in such a way that you whoever jumps through and then it kind of resets and goes to whatever the next viewer is looking at? I don't know.
sure.
Seems
Why not?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, that must be the way it works.
Yeah. And how similar is this device to the Guardian that we see in the City on the Edge of Forever?
I guess it's similar, but you can control this.
Yeah, this isn't sentient either. I mean,
Yeah, and the
but
Guardian is just a one continuous stream of history
yeah.
that loops, which also says that history and the future are finite if it loops.
Mhm.
But at
So,
any rate,
so what's your take on the phaser not working? Do you think it was
I
the
have
extreme
no
cold or
idea. I think that's the only real explanation, or that, or the portal zapped it and disabled it or broke it when they
yeah.
went through.
I
I don't
do
know.
I do like the idea of having to be prepared to travel to, in Kirk's case, like what, the 17th century or whatever, because um obviously, there's different physical characteristics that people had, you know 300 years ago, let's say. So the idea of having to be prepped for that, I don't know, that kind of really interested me.
Yeah, I think it manifests itself much more. Actually, pause that thought for 1 second. But we'll jump back to it. This is something that I could not really even wrap my head around. Is that how is it that the voices of Spock and McCoy could travel 5,000 years and come out? I mean, what I don't. It's weird. I mean, it is you would have to have some sort of recording software or a conduit for that audio to travel back through the portal and then be looped back again through the portal to where Kirk is. So wouldn't everybody who's standing near the portal hear them talking?
Yeah, you would think so.
Couldn't Atos hear them at this point too?
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Oh, see that part really made me scratch my head. I mean, I understand what the need for that, the plot need for the voices to work, but wouldn't you think that and it's another thing. They come out of the portal and into these time periods, but where they come out of the portal is not exactly where the portal is. It's kind of more to the left.
Yeah.
So if they turn directly around and push on the wall, the portal's not there. But if they take 10 steps to the left, that's where the portal actually is. So this whole episode could have been avoided if they just felt on the walls for a little longer. And because Kirk looks like he almost finds the spot.
Yeah.
Right? Because later on, he actually finds it. But yeah, because he's standing almost right by. It's right where past that chain to his left is where the hole in the wall is.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean, I don't want to spend this commentary
no, of course not.
Dogging the episode, but at the same time, this is an episode that really, aside from the, the problems that Kirk's runs into, this episode lacks any real villain.
True.
You have these people who are just sort of misguided. They're just more concerned with dealing with Kirk because they think he's a witch. Atos can't be really considered a villain.
No, the situation is the villain.
Yeah, and
in this. So he's standing right in front of the portal right now. But the situation. This is man versus a situation. Man versus his surroundings.
Yeah, but I mean, does that make for a compelling story?
Actually, I quite like this story. To be honest with you, I mean, it definitely is a bit aimless, and it's just really overcoming a difficult situation. And I guess the final solution is actually quite simple and something they could have arrived at had they just done a little more due diligence.
Yeah,
right at the beginning. But I don't know. One concept that you were talking about before, and that was the whole getting prepared.
Oh, right, yeah.
Thing. I thought that it was a fascinating concept, and I'm gonna have to talk to friend of the show Steve, who's the time travel expert, about this. And how many time travel stories are there where you revert to that stage in your planet's history when you time travel? So we're gonna see that Spock reverts to Vulcan 5,000 years ago. And of course, for some reason, it doesn't really happen to McCoy. And Kirk, to a lesser extent, because he went, he didn't go back quite as far in time. But I think it's fascinating that being prepared by Atos would prevent that from happening to you.
Yeah, but I also wonder how much of Spock is tied into the fact that maybe Vulcans have some kind of connection.
Perhaps.
They're all tuned to the same frequency, you know what I mean?
So
Spock is sort of, that we can use like a Wi-Fi example.
Yeah, the Borg.
They're all connecting to the same, the same Wi-Fi.
The Vorg, yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought it was fascinating that Spock wouldn't leave McCoy behind, even though it's not really the logical thing to do.
Yeah.
To weigh yourself down by trying to drag McCoy, who's already pretty much unconscious, along with you, and jeopardizing your own life further. But I think that's a testament to the human side of Spock.
Yeah, but and I think that's really the as frustrating as Spock is in this episode. It's really the most interesting aspect for me in terms of getting to see Spock um, in this, primal state. This, Vulcans before the their infancy, even.
Hmm.
Um, and I think it's really interesting to see sort of this accelerated um, courting process that Spock goes through. It's frustrating for me as a viewer, but at the same time, I'm really interested in seeing how Nimoy approached it, and how they executed overall throughout the episode.
Well, I'm gonna have to question it a little bit
Okay.
because is it his Vulcan side that has the physical desire for her, or is it the human side? Because obviously this isn't Pon farr, right? So the Vulcan side shouldn't be interested at all in mating, regardless of the time period.
Yeah.
So is the human side really manifesting itself more with his desire and willingness to throttle McCoy to protect her?
Yeah, but also all in under 3.5 hours.
Well, he is reverting rather quickly.
Yeah, but he's not even like drunk or you know. I could understand getting drunk at a party maybe and becoming obsessed with a girl, but here it's in the course of 3.5 hours.
Well, I think the situation is quite different. I mean, she's the only female that they know of that's there in that time period.
Yeah, but I mean, they're in an extreme cold environment. They're now in this cave. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to me like the human side of Spock would be like, yeah, you know what? In 3.5 hours, I'm gonna, fall madly in love with this girl to the point where I'd be willing to leave behind my old life.
Mm, I don't know. Well, she does dupe him into thinking that he can't go back.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty valid. If it was you and me and one chick for eternity, I mean, would you and I even come to blows over it? I
No, you
mean,
would get her on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday,
oh,
and I
sorry,
would get her.
female listeners. Sorry, female listeners. That was horrible. That wasn't where I intended it to go. I thought we were going to talk about who's going to beat up who.
No.
All right. All right. So interesting sets in this episode.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you'd think that they avoided the Enterprise or the bridge because of a budget, and I'm sure these were all pre-existing sets here that they utilized.
I think for the most part, I took a look into it and I didn't see explanations for all of the sets, but there were definitely a few reused ones.
Yeah,
So there was another point that we missed while we were talking about Spock's lust for this young lady, and that was she insisted that someone named Zarkon sent her there as banishment. I wonder if in the original treatment, or there was possibly more of an exploration as to who that Zarkon is.
yeah,
And I mean, it seems kind of offhand to just throw a name like that out there and never really expand on it, because that seems like some sort of a villain type character.
yeah. I'm surprised that I'm surprised that like J.J. Abrams and his crew didn't tap into that and use him as some kind of villain who was time jumping.
Give him time. Give him time.
So this individual here is the what
The prosecutor, I think.
the prosecutor. Yes, that is Kermit Murdoch.
I love the fact that his name is Kermit.
Yeah, what a name! What a face too. Just a really distinctive looking actor.
Yeah,
He
I love how-
died.
Oh,
What?
sorry. Go ahead. He died.
He died in 1981 at the age of 72. And around this time, and after he was on Ironside, the Mod Squad, and Kung Fu.
He does look pretty familiar. I swear I'd seen him before.
Yeah, he had a lot of credits right up until his death.
What a great name.
Yeah, Kermit Murdoch.
Great. I love that Kirk almost talks his way out of this.
Yeah.
Almost. But this guy, obviously, by the look on his face, he is another person who's ported to this time from the future, and his reaction to Kirk mentioning having traveled there through the portal is a dead giveaway.
Yeah,
But this guy can't, because he can't go back. He can't risk being outed here.
So do you think
Kirk.
time is moving slower here?
I don't think so.
Or this at least lends credence to your idea that they've been here or they've been doing this for 10 years.
Oh, for sure. Like he's ingrained in this. Or, perhaps, now that I think more deeply about it, maybe being prepared also gives you a role in history. Like, you don't just go back, with the clothes on your back and a couple bucks in your pocket and
You got
a
an
suitcase.
ID.
You've got an ID, right? They kind of fit you into history somehow.
Yeah.
So you get to pick, like, I don't want to go back as a guy who's mucking out horse stalls. I want to go back as the prosecutor or a judge or a
But somebody's got to
president.
go out to muck horse stalls, though.
No, that's what the rest of the people are there for. They're the people that are actually of that time period. Or what if it's really messed up and you actually trade places with somebody, right? And somebody, like, there was originally another prosecutor there, but they reprogram history to put that guy in the role, and they take the original guy and he's selling snake oil somewhere. I don't know.
You just made the episode a lot more interesting.
Yes, I was trying.
Important question, though.
Mm-hmm.
When did the term warlock come about?
I don't know.
Okay, because she calls him a witch, and it's my understanding that a male witch is a warlock.
You are correct.
Yeah, so I wonder when warlock became a thing.
I don't know. Maybe it was after. Well, nah, yeah, I bet you that that the term was around before this episode was around. It just wasn't in the writing of the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of the writing, this is written by a writer that we've seen before. It's one of 2 television episodes that this writer wrote, and she was not a professional writer. Jean Lisette Orestite, and I know I probably murdered that name. She also wrote Is There in Truth No Beauty, and she was one of a handful of writers who submitted unsolicited scripts that ended up being produced.
Very cool.
And the episode was also directed by a director we've seen before, Marvin Chomsky, born in 1929. He also did Day of the Dove and The Children Shall Lead.
Very cool. I love these people who've already been a part of Trek in the past that come back to work on it again.
Yeah.
Very cool. So this is a very strange bit of dialogue from Spock. He's having a struggle between going to look for Kirk and leaving McCoy behind, but he's saying things like I've already fulfilled my duty to McCoy by saving his life, so I should be able to just walk away from this.
Yeah.
But he can't, so he's conflicted. He's like, I should be able to resolve this problem logically, and he can't.
Yeah.
Which is really weird. So I love the fact that Spock has such a prominent role in this episode, and he gets to actually, play with his character a bit. So gives Nimoy a bit more chance to shine, and gives us a little more insight into some of the struggles that Spock would have to go through when his chosen way of life doesn't really work out in the situation, kind of like it did in the Galileo 7.
Right.
Yeah, where logic doesn't always work. But very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Yeah, Zorkon the Tyrant. They're having another conversation about this Zorkon the Tyrant. So that you get a little more in, Zorkon destroyed her whole family and used the machine to send them to places that no one would ever find them in time.
Mm-hmm.
But you would think that with all of this setup, that this Zorkon guy would show up or, attempt to thwart them from coming back through the portals, or
he could have been the villain of the episode.
Yeah.
Now, but also, how is she established herself in the sense where she's found shelter, but where is she finding food?
Well, she says that Zarkon sent her back with everything she needed to survive. And the punishment was not to kill her, but to strand her alone.
Yeah. So she got like a 20-year supply of rice-a-roni.
San Francisco treat. Yeah, actually, it's more like animal flesh, as we'll find out in a couple minutes here.
Yeah.
But so here's the setup: you can't go back. You will die for some reason. The portal's a one-way trip, and if you attempt to go back through, you will be immediately destroyed.
And to argue against Spock taking that at face value, wouldn't he question how she knows that?
Hmm. Well, maybe during the preparation process they tell you that.
Well, but still, does that mean it's true?
I don't know. I guess we have to choose who we believe. When people tell us stuff, how do we choose who we believe and who we don't?
It's a very good point.
You believe everything your mother tells you because she's your mother, or do you believe everything the doctor tells you because he's a doctor? Or I don't know. Where do you draw the line? So I mean, they're not familiar with the technology. They didn't have a real chance to study it, and she was sent through it, and maybe she received some sort of instruction manual that they didn't. I don't know. Hard to argue. I mean, I definitely would question it if it was me. And obviously, I would probably attempt to go back through regardless instead of staying in that frozen waste. I think dying in the portal instantly is preferable to me
Exactly.
than staying in that frozen wasteland.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe not in this timeline that Kirk is in. That might have been more fun to live in.
Yeah.
I think I might have hung out there for a little while. But I mean, this is another one of those instances though where wouldn't his outfit draw some questions, some raised eyebrows?
No, you would think so.
His uniform. I mean, he's obviously not dressed anything like anybody else there. This is a very questionable takedown too, by the way.
Well, it's just Kirk using his superior training. I mean, this guy. He's just he's a rube.
I guess.
You know.
I like how Kirk is able to keep him from escaping this grip and unlock the door at the same time. What great physical acting by Shatner there.
Yeah, he threatened to break the guy's arm though.
Yeah, and look, he's all twisted around, unlocking the door. Poor Shatner just got a handful of carrot there.
And boom.
And the karate chop knockout.
Yeah.
Now, why couldn't Kirk use that in the Savage Curtain to knock everybody out? No nerve pinches and no karate chop knockouts in an episode where they desperately needed them. Inconsistency.
We're done with the Savage Curtain, though.
Yeah, I love how Kirk files a captain's log from the jail cell. He has no devices whatsoever with which to file this captain's log. But fascinating how he can do that. It's not the first time we've seen him do captain's log from weird places.
Right.
So I like that he actually is able to talk himself out of this at this point and get the prosecutor to help him to get back through the portal.
Yeah.
Once he realizes the door is open.
Yeah, and also, once the prosecutor realizes that he wasn't prepared.
Yeah, and he says you'll only survive a couple of hours or a few hours without being prepared. And I wonder why that is. I mean, I guess maybe does something happen to your physical structure? I mean, that just breaks down and you wind up dying from it. I don't know. It's hard to think about what would happen. I mean,
yeah, I was wondering if maybe also it's like you're not inoculated for certain things.
Yeah, that's possible. True. Yeah, poor Kermit. He's about to get outed though. He's in a lot of risk here. This is his life.
Yeah.
If he is doubted by the people of that time, then they could burn him up too.
Yeah, but that's why it's almost easier for him to just, sort of shuttle Kirk away. The best way to get rid of anything that could potentially expose you is to just, make that problem disappear.
Oh, for sure. It's just he has to hope that in the time that he's shuttling Kirk away, no doubt is cast on him. That time between the jail cell and when he actually gets to the portal, that nobody sees him helping Kirk out, or the jig is up for him.
Right.
Because then he's really screwed.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I mean, why would he choose to go here? why would that prosecutor guy choose to go to this time where he's burning witches, even though he obviously does not believe in witchcraft? He actually participates in it.
Yeah, well, maybe it's one of those things where he thinks if they're gullible enough to believe in witches, I should do pretty well here.
Yeah, I guess so. But what kind of a jerk is he, though, that he knows innocent people are being burned at the stake for being witches when witches don't actually exist in that? I don't know. Weird.
Well, I mean, it's a sad truth about the universe is, there's a lot of, there's a lot of bad people.
Yeah, of course. I know.
So this actress here, Zarabeth, is Mariette Hartley, born 1940, and I'm sure we all know her from a lot of different things. And I remember her actually from, I don't remember if you remember like that See Clearly method.
No.
It was like an infomercial, that I think it tried to prove that you could cure yourself of needing glasses by doing eye exercises.
Really?
Yeah, but I remember her from that.
Oh, neat.
But she's been in a lot of different stuff, and she actually won an Emmy for work she did on The Incredible Hulk, the episode Married. She won an Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actress.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, and speaking of Miss Hartley, by the way, dear listeners, stay tuned. At the end of this episode, we have a very special interview clip from her.
Oh, cool.
To listen to. Yeah, we usually close the show out with an interview clip from various cast members, but I was able to uncover a very cool little interview with her, so that'll be at the end of this episode.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, pretty neat. So I love this Spock. He is so he's so terse with McCoy, and this is a Spock that we're not used to seeing.
Oh yeah.
Spock usually does not talk like this, and wow, get it through your head. We can't get back. I love it. This is such a really cool departure for Nimoy. I love that he can still play Spock, but play a different Spock. I think that's a testament to his acting abilities, that he's able to alter the character in such a way that we notice it, but it's still the same character,
Right.
Fantastic stuff. That's one of the things I really enjoy about this episode is the dynamic Spock that changes. You get the regular Spock in the beginning of the episode, this barbaric, nasty Spock, and then he goes back to the regular Spock again later, it's pretty cool. It's almost like Shatner was when we had the good and evil Kirks. Uh-oh. It's probably the best Spock scene in the entire episode right here, where McCoy utters one of his typical nasty Vulcan slurs, and Spock finally decides to tell him he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
And gets pretty physical with him. So I think what would we like to be McCoy right now?
Yeah, McCoy's like, oof, man, I thought I could, sort of just, trample over him with my words, but
and now McCoy is in a position where he is now stuck with a Spock who is obviously physically superior and not very happy with him for the rest of eternity. So not a really good position for McCoy to be in.
Yeah. And I like how the prosecutor here can't remember exactly where it is.
Yeah, it's here somewhere. It's right by where you were standing about 10 minutes ago. And there's the chains, and there's the buckets and the wooden pilings that Kirk was standing next to. And right to the left of those, there it is, right next to the bow door. So pretty cool that he could have found that. He could have been pushed through it, for God's sake.
Yeah. And can other people accidentally go through it?
That's a good question.
How many people do you think stumble drunk through that alleyway, or, a couple that maybe goes there to make out after coming out of the inn there?
Yeah, really. There's somebody's front door is right next to it. They go to throw the cat out at night, and they throw the cat through the portal. That's a cool effect for back then. And here he comes. Kirk is back through the portal.
Yeah.
And very cool that Kirk winds up getting back before Spock and McCoy and has to try to figure out how to find them and get them back. So here's a Scotty's little voiceover. So you
Yeah,
get to
we
hear a
got
little bit of Scotty's voice.
Yeah, and the ticking clock reminder.
The Star Trek is great for a ticking clock. 17 minutes.
Yeah, and it's funny, they say 17 minutes and we've got 15 minutes of episode left, so
Oh, nice.
it almost unfolds in real time.
Good observation.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. So very cool. And Ataz is still there. So Ataz literally is waiting for the last minute to jump through the portal.
Yeah, he's waiting to make sure there aren't any stragglers.
Now, wouldn't here's another question, another nitpick question. Wouldn't you think they would have had a list of the population of the planet and checked people off as they went through, so they would know who's still left and who's gone through already?
Oh, totally. And why would you wait? Why would you wait till the last minute?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
obviously the entire society is broken down here. There's no. It's not like you'd have to be like, oh, I can't leave my job.
no, and wouldn't they say? Wouldn't they put out some sort of a letter that says, "Listen, you have until X day to show up and go through the thing, and after that, you can't go through anymore."
Yeah, you're just you'll be left behind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Seems like kind of unfair for poor Atos. What if something goes wrong and the sun goes nova a little early?
Yeah.
Oh, and Atos has a little silver pipe that's actually a phaser. Pretty cool. And
Yeah,
poor
and
Kirk
tries to bluff him.
Yeah. Poor Kirk gets zapped.
Yeah, he didn't fall for Kirk. Kirk was going to try and sort of, talk him down and probably grab it away from him. But Atos was having none of it.
No.
Now, here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
When we next see Kirk, he's going to be on that sled.
Yep.
Was he prepared?
Oh, good question. I don't know. Wow.
You think he would have had to be prepared, right?
I don't know. I guess it depends on how charitable Mr. Atos is feeling, because where was Atos sending him?
Exactly.
So
was Atos going to just send him back to
the same time period?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Obviously, Atos would have picked where he was going to go if it wasn't the same place that he just came from.
Yeah. And does being prepared not matter as long as you don't go through the portal?
That's a good question, too. I mean, if Kirk is actually prepared, he stays prepared when he goes back to the Enterprise, and for the rest of his life, he's prepared, whatever that means.
Yeah. I for me, this just seems like maybe one of the sloppiest episodes of the series in terms of just creating too many loose ends.
Perhaps. And how about the loose end that Spock's a vegetarian? Yeah. Is this animal flesh? It's interesting that is this the first we've heard of Spock being vegetarian, or possibly?
Yeah, and I wonder if they've even contradicted themselves here with things we've seen Spock eat over the course of the series.
Potentially.
I mean, even when they were in New York for the City on the Edge of Forever, they ate at that soup kitchen, right?
They did.
What were they eating? That
soup?
Yeah, and that had to be like a chicken-based.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think he had a choice of soup. There wasn't one of those. It wasn't that they had the 3 specials of the day and he could have whichever one he wanted to.
Yeah.
But
or I'm sorry, I don't eat animal products. So can you make me just some broth? Yeah, it's a soup kitchen guy. Beggars can't be choosers. Pun intended.
Yeah. I wonder. I don't recall hearing much about Spock's food preferences after this, like in the movies or anything. I don't remember him ever really being that really coming up in conversation.
But at the same time, if you're really in a society where you're dealing with replicators, you're not doing it for humane reasons.
True indeed.
You're not saving. There isn't some poor animal that's being slaughtered. For the replicator.
True. Exactly. You're eating, whatever materials they convert into the replicated food. So now here's another really interesting sequence with Spock here that, he says he's behaving disgracefully because he ate animal flesh and enjoyed it and called her beautiful. So obviously he realizes that there's some serious changes going on in his mental state.
Yeah.
So he's struggling with what he wants to be or who he thinks he is now and what he's becoming. So, and it seems like he's resisting becoming physical with her, and then he kind of just gives in and goes for it.
Yeah.
But another third season episode where Kirk isn't the one that gets the girl. And there's a smile, the rare smile from Spock. So very few times do you see that. But, I have to say, Zarkon did her a big favor because obviously he sent some hair care and styling products back so that she could curl the bottoms of her hair and keep that fresh bounce.
But also, how vain is she?
You think?
Well, what is she? Whose benefit is she doing that for?
Oh, here's that scene.
Yeah.
That was a very weak attempt by Atos there.
Yeah.
And now Atos tried to push him through.
Yeah.
Oh, Kirk almost goes too. That's pretty. What would Kirk have tried to throw him through, like and just get rid of him?
That's where I thought it was going to go.
That's me too.
And I mean, if they made this episode today, or if this episode was a movie, he would definitely get, kicked through.
Absolutely. And is Atos prepared?
He's got to be at this point because we're now within 8 minutes of the planet being, of that sun going nova.
Getting pretty damn close. Pretty damn close. So I guess because Kirk tells Scotty when the sun starts to go nova, if they're not back on the ship just to get away, I guess the ship can travel fast enough to escape that explosion, I guess, right? That shouldn't be a problem if we go to warp speed. So I gotta give McCoy props here for having the balls to go after Spock like this. Even after he knows he is no physical match for Spock whatsoever. He's still gonna call Spock out on his bad behavior and believing Sarah Beth at her word.
Yeah.
And this is maybe McCoy is resigned to the fact that either he's going to get through to Spock or Spock's going to kill him here and now. Because he actually tries to get physical with her. Now that's pretty bold.
Oh, totally.
Because Spock is obviously protecting her right here. He's got his hand on her shoulder, his other arms kind of around her. So they're obviously. There's something going on. There's a connection between them. Spock has claimed her.
Yeah.
And, this is great. And you see Spock immediately jumps up and this is another situation. We've seen McCoy do this before. I think back in Space Seed where somebody had him in a death grip. Khan was going to kill him and he just stays totally cool.
Yeah.
Through it. I love it. Fantastic. A couple of really great character moments in this episode to round out the third season. We've had a lot of episodes where really nothing happens, but I have to say, even with all of the plot convenience and obvious holes in this story, it gave McCoy and Spock some really great opportunities to play off of each other and have some really good exchanges of dialogue here. And the physical acting is great too. Look at the intensity on DeForest Kelly's face.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Really, really well done. And he's telling him Spock is reverting to his ancestors 5,000 years before he was even born. And Spock will recall a bit about what Vulcan was like back then.
Right.
And they were barbarians that gave into, and we knew that already, that they used to be governed by emotion instead of logic. So we're not really learning anything new. We're just kind of seeing it manifesting itself. So fantastic stuff. Little expose on Vulcan history. Something like I said, we already knew. So, but it's interesting that McCoy is not affected at all. by being regressed 5,000 years.
Well, maybe being frozen
Yeah,
stunted it
there you go.
because he was frozen for a while.
We'll
It's
go with
more
that.
amazing that he didn't lose any limbs due to the hypothermia.
Yeah, or show any of the, sometimes you get, when you get frostbite, your skin gets dark at your fingertips and your
Yeah,
toes turn
like
colors.
at the end of this episode, the tip of his nose should be gone. He should have probably lost a couple fingers and most of his toes.
More than likely. And he's getting ready to head back out into the cold yet again. Brave, brave, brave. And now he's got his tricorder and that other medical device strapped onto his belt.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I guess they don't work.
No.
So.
And here they are scanning.
Yeah, they're trying to find the destination that Spock and McCoy went to. But I guess the only way to do that, I guess the machine isn't sophisticated enough to track who goes through it. And what happened to the disc that McCoy and Spock were looking at?
Yeah.
It was sitting on the little player on the wall. I mean, wouldn't that maybe? I guess maybe Ataz was busy putting discs away.
Yeah, or maybe one of his replicants.
Yeah, there you go. Wow. What if it was like Blockbuster and that disc was in the box waiting to get put back on the shelf?
Oh man.
Remember that? You used to go to Blockbuster and you used to look at the videos.
You're like,
that were
yeah,
returned.
it's right there. I see it.
Come on, let me have it. God, I remember that. Oh, the old days.
I thought you were going to say he gets the disc, but he realizes that the person that had it before him didn't rewind it.
Oh, could you imagine? And they don't have the rewinder thing. You have to put it in the actual player and rewind it, which is slower.
Yeah, they don't have time to rewind all the way before that sun goes nova.
Or what if they had a rewinder and it was shaped like a car? Remember those?
Yeah.
All right. We're tangenting here. I love that Spock is really willing to push it on time here.
Yeah.
He knows that, they have mere minutes left. Now, here's a question for you. If you were Sarah Beth here, would you just attempt to go back through anyway just to see what happens?
Totally.
After you see McCoy and Spock go through, wouldn't you be like, the hell with it? I'm just going to give it a shot.
Well, yeah.
I mean, what kind of existence is that?
Yeah, I mean, especially if you have the opportunity. It doesn't even seem. Is she even aware that the planet's going to be destroyed?
I don't know, because she was forced to go through, right?
Yeah, but I mean, she's still a young woman.
Really? Yeah, exactly. She's going to potentially live in that cave.
Yeah.
Doing absolutely nothing for, another 40 plus years.
Yeah. But she had to know
years.
that the planet was doomed.
Perhaps.
Well, I mean, if when was she sent back? Was she sent back as a kid?
Well, they don't say. They said Zarkon sent her back as a punishment for some reason or another. So it stands to reason maybe she was sent back in time before the whole Nova thing happened. Or was discovered to be happening.
So they had this kick-ass technology that they were just using for nefarious purposes?
Yeah, either that or maybe recreation. Maybe this was something that they used for fun. You went back for an hour or two and...
Boom, and here goes Ataz.
Yeah, and wow,
Jeez.
He's no joke. Dun, dun, dun,
yeah,
right
I wonder where he went.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a good question.
He had it with him, wherever he went.
Would have been cool to see what the disc looked like. Wouldn't that have been a neat closing shot if the camera switched over and zoomed into the disc that Ataz was going to, and it actually showed like a picture of the Enterprise on it or something?
Oh.
That would have been Ataz could have shown up later in the series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here's a great line from Spock. He's completely back. That was 5,000 years ago, and she is dead now. Completely devoid of any kind of emotion for a woman that he was willing to give it all up for.
Dead and buried long ago. Ooh.
And who buried her?
Good question. Oh, man. And there is the remastered Nova explosion. Very cool. And that poor little moon is going to get eaten up too. Ah, what a travesty. Well, and that brings us to the end of another episode. That is The second to last episode, man. This is kind of getting emotional.
I know.
Yeah, so I guess we have to levy our essential votes on this episode, and I will lead off by saying that, again, this happens to be an episode that I do enjoy, but unfortunately, there's nothing in it that I would label essential. So, like I said, great character moments for McCoy and Spock, but we've seen a lot of those prior to this, and we did know about Vulcan's barbaric and emotional history prior to this, so that little expose isn't the first time we've heard of it. So, unfortunately, I can't call this episode essential.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with you. As great as those Spock and McCoy moments are, like you said, they're all moments that we've sort of seen before, or we don't need in the second to last episode, to learn. Um, they've already taught us that prior to the end of the series. So, yeah, I mean, this is an entertaining enough episode, but there are still a lot of loose ends where you wonder if there was a little bit more. Focus on the script that they could have really made an episode that could have been one of the best episodes of the series. It's pretty interesting to see where if maybe this had been given sort of the season 1 writers room treatment, what kind of episode we would have gotten.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. Absolutely agreed. So, all right, everybody, thanks for tuning in, and remember, we've got the little interview clip here coming up for you after the end of the show, so stay tuned for that, and we will see you again next week for the final installment, the final commentary track of the original series on the Tricorder Transmissions. Craig, any final thoughts today?
No, I'll see you next week.
All right, thanks for listening, everybody. I'll see you later.
My name is Marian Hartley, and this is my first Star Trek convention, so I'm a virgin, so please be kind of gentle with me if you would. I understand this is question and answer. We did all our yesterdays with a fake fur stole, whatever the heck that was, that huge coat of fake fur. I want you to know it was fake fur. And it looked, anyway. And I had absolutely no idea what Star Trek was. I come from Connecticut. First of all, I didn't know what television was. That started just as I kind of came out to L.A. And as a matter of fact, my wonderful daughter said to me, "Mom, the only reason you worked so much in television was because there was nobody else acting." So I did a lot of television, and I was so lucky. I did Bonanzas and Gunsmokes and did some wonderful stuff. And then this amazing piece came up called All Our Yesterdays. And I was going to be playing this Vulcan's girlfriend. I mean, this man with the two strange-looking ears. And I had no idea that he had never gone to bed with anybody else before me. Apparently, before me, Spock was a vegetarian. I actually taught him how to eat meat. Whatever is said in Vegas stays in Vegas. So, but he was a great guy to work with. They all were terrific to work with. And I had a wonderful time, but had absolutely no idea the immensity of the influence that this particular episode was going to have. Stooping Spock was not my idea of a huge acting career choice, but it turned out to be terrific, and he wasn't bad.
I assume you've done this before? Oh, yeah.
But it was great, and I started acting when I was 10 in the theater in Connecticut, and didn't come out really to L.A., to Hollywood, until 1961, where I did Sam Peckinpah's first movie called Ride the High Country. Okay. And from that point, just kept working and working and working, and I have been a very, very lucky actress, especially at this age, because there are a lot of people my age who aren't, it's a fickle business.
You were actually mentioned in one of the cast members' autobiographies, and what was written about you. What happened? That person was talking about how Mr. William Shatner had an amazing charm with all the female guest stars on the show during its original run.
Not with me.
That's what this person said. That this person said that it was refreshing to see Lee Merriweather and you just tell him exactly where to go.
Oh, please. First of all, he's too short for me, and and you can always tell that somebody. No, I love Bill. It's just that he really did have a tendency to take himself real seriously with women, and he still does. So anyway, and I heard that from. Oh, see, what are you related to him? No. Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you. You liked the honesty, or?
Oh, that's great. No, it rocks.
Okay. I can be much more honest than that, and I won't be, because this is a Star Trek convention, and I know where my bread is buttered. So,
thank you.
Hitchcock is a tough guy, and I was going through a very rough period of my life at that time, anyway, and I was slightly paranoid. So I never knew. It was at the same time I was doing Peyton Place, and of course in Peyton Place I never knew if I was going to get kicked off the show, the next day. It was just working in soap operas. It's just very tough. But Hitch was, Tippi and I know one another. Tippi Hedren and I know one another. And he was tough with her too. But I tell you, he's an incredible filmmaker. We just recently saw the movie again. And it's an amazing, amazing film. One of the first kind of psychological thrillers that really dares go into something with which I'm very familiar, post-traumatic stress. And of course, to re-see it after many, many, many years, I was pretty astonished by the film. And I adore Tippi. He's tough, but he's brilliantly talented. Yeah.
Thank you.